Name is Krisa. Hi, everybody. My name is Krisa, and I'm a special needs consultant and early years consultant at HSLDA. And thank you so much for joining us for this Facebook Live. We're talking about creative homeschooling ideas, home for the holidays. And joining me today is Erin Eskew. She is a homeschool mama of 4 boys, and we're going to learn more about her in just a second. But if you're joining us right now, please in the chat tell us where you're watching from, how long you've been homeschooling, and yeah, we're going to have a great time. I'm excited. Erin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm so glad to be here.
Great. And you are joining us from San Antonio, is that right?
San Antonio, Texas. Yes, we're visiting grandparents for the holiday, for Thanksgiving in particular. But yeah, so my husband's in the Army. He's stationed at Fort Cavazos in Killeen, Texas, and so we're about a 2-hour drive from home. So that's really nice. And I homeschool our boys. They're 9, 8, 6, almost 7, and 5. And I also write for a local newspaper. I went to Patrick Henry College, which shares a campus with HSLDA. So that's just a little more about me.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. We're so glad to have you. And I can't wait. How long have you been homeschooling?
Since the very beginning, when I was about 4 years old, my mom homeschooled me. So I'm a second generation homeschooler. And then once my oldest turned 4, we started like official homeschooling. So about 5 years.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. All right, let's see here. I don't know if we have anybody joining us just yet, but again, if you are just joining us for this Facebook Live, I'm Krisa. I'm from HSLDA. I'm an educational consultant here. And Erin Eskew is joining me from San Antonio, Texas. She's one of our bloggers too, right, Erin?
Yes, I do.
You blog for HSLDA?
Primarily for the military homeschoolers blog now, but just in general as well on the website.
Awesome. And she's a homeschooling mom of 4, and we're going to just pick her brain today and get some creative homeschooling ideas home for the holidays. So, yeah, if you are just joining us, looks like we do have some folks with us, then please tell us where you're watching from and how long you've been homeschooling. We'd love to hear that. And if you have questions, let us know as well, and we'll try to address those as we go along. All right, and we've got Christy is joining us from Wyoming. Hi, Christy. It's nice to have you here today. And I think what I'm going to do is start with kind of getting started. What's something special? I told you, Erin, I was going to stay on script, but I'm probably not. So here we go. You're visiting your family right now. You've got Thanksgiving at the end of the week. What's something that you're looking forward to or that you're doing with your boys for Thanksgiving?
Something I'm really excited about is just a family slideshow. So I am a newspaper reporter as my side gig, and I do love to just so I am also the keeper of all the family pictures. So we've got pictures from great grandparents all the way down to my youngest nephew was born this summer. And we've got pictures of over 1,000 pictures that are going to be in the slideshow.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going through right now and captioning all the more obscure relations. So that anybody in the room can tell who they are. And it's just really neat, I think. And actually one of the ideas for the holidays, we do spend a lot of time with family. And so I've been enjoying talking my children through family structure, like that sort of thing. So one of my sons came in and asked why he can't be cousin Reese's uncle, because he loves his uncles and he wants to get to be one of cousin Reese's uncles. So explaining to him, it's the 5-year-old. So explaining to him that cousins, that means that both your parents are siblings. And so uncles is your parents' sibling. So since you're not Reese's parents' sibling, you're not an uncle, but you do get to be a cool cousin. So family trees and that sort of thing. And for the older ones, I'll actually have them like draw it out and we kind of trace. I have 5 brothers and 3 sisters, so they get a lot of people to put on their calendar or their tree. So that's one of the fun things that we like to do around this time of year.
I love that. That's a great idea. And I love the slideshow too. What a great tradition and a gift that you're giving your family too. That is awesome. So as I don't know about you, I told you before we got started, I am a homeschooling mama. I've homeschooled, but before that, I was a public school teacher, and I know for my kids, especially when I taught younger children, this time of year they're all wiggly and their minds are not about school. So how do we transition and keep our kids engaged? Even though we've got all this excitement, we're getting to see family, Christmas is coming soon. What are some things that you could suggest or that you've done in the past to keep your boys engaged?
Yeah, well, for one thing, just accepting the reality that the holidays are exciting and we are not going to get as much done in the month of December, and November, December as we might like. So I try and plan my school year accordingly. It's a little late if you're trying to like make your school year plan once November arrives for that to happen. But even if this year rolls a little bit over, sorry about that. It's nice to kind of plan not to absolutely need a full week of school to feel like you're on target.
Right.
And that way, on days that we don't have Christmas parties or mommy's not building gingerbread houses or like nothing crazy is happening, we can have our normal routine school schedule. We tend to go right up until like the week before Christmas. But when there are Christmas parties and there are Christmas activities and field trips and live concerts that they could go do music appreciation in person at a concert. We're not ditching those real life learning experiences in favor of staying on target,
Right.
because we have that wiggle room. So, and then even if you don't have the wiggle room per se, one of the things that I also enjoy doing is identifying what is the most important thing for me this year.
Mm.
There are some activities that we do that are educational and important. Like there's a series, Draw the USA, that we're doing, and we add a little state on, and they draw a little bit more every month. But there are 52 states. Or no, there's 52 weeks in a year. Sorry,
I'm like,
52 weeks
wait a
in a
minute,
year.
what?
Yeah, no, we're just adding them in as we go. There are 52 weeks in a year, so technically, there are more weeks than there are states in the
State.
first place.
Hmm.
And from year to year, we're not learning those first few states for the first time next year. So if we're
Right.
doing this for the next several years, that's one of those activities that there's time built on our schedule for them to do that. But I know that that's not essential. Next
Hmm.
year, we will pick up the state that we missed this year, and we'll continue to add to the states that from year to year. Math and phonics, if we fall behind, we will be very behind.
Mm.
We cannot afford to do that. So as the mom, as the administrator, as the dad, as the teacher, it's important to identify what those priorities are and figure out how to focus your day on getting just how much time do you need to get that done. So what I like to do with my boys, just to motivate them, is to come up with a to-do list for the day. They love participating. We'll have on the left-hand side, we'll usually have the required things, the difficult things. There will be like 2 or 3 school subjects and some basic chores that need to happen, just the nitty gritty. But
Hmm.
on the right side, I usually let them alternate with something fun. So it might be 15 minutes jumping on the trampoline. Yeah, let's put that down. Getting to pick a treat out of the treat bin. Let's put that down. And usually it's no more than 10 or 15 minutes for these fun activities, or we'll draw a picture to send to your aunt, because my boys all love to draw. And so we'll have those sorts of activities kind of weaved in. So we're bouncing back and forth between difficult and fun when their mood is not quite there. Or we'll work our way through all the difficult. And then when you're done, it's just 5 items. But when we check these 5 off, then you can do any of these. And also, those aren't essential. The fun things aren't essential. So you're also free to do whatever you want once we
Hmm.
get these first few things done. But it kind of helps, I think, to spark their imagination as to like what the day could look like if we focus and knock out those couple essentials that we can't afford to do without.
I love that. I love that you're bringing in that aspect of planning. And I think years ago, I read a book by Sally Clarkson. She talks about creating space to fan the flames. And so,
Yes.
it's great to have all these wonderful ideas, but if you don't create time for that and space for it, which that's what I'm hearing that you're doing, you're like, I have essential things that I have to get done, but I also want to do this, and I've got to create space for that. And you're doing that, in a big way with the holidays, and knowing that. And one other thing that I thought of when you were talking too is just that when my children were really, really young, and I had a looming deadline for work or something,
Yeah.
I needed to understand, that I had young children and that they weren't going to just do everything according to my schedule. And so I think that's really, really important, especially as we're coming into the holiday season, that not everything's going to go into plan as planned. So plan for the unexpected, I guess, is what I'm trying to say and what I
Yes.
hear
Oh,
that you
I
say.
completely agree. And I think planning for the unexpected and planning for those great things that you want to happen that will never happen if you don't plan for them.
Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of a hyper over planner, and I recognize that it can be intimidating and overwhelming. But for me, I look at it as freeing from the standpoint of, if I think ahead, I don't find myself having not baked a single batch of cookies.
Right.
If I and I have 4 boys, and they're 5 weekdays, so I get a cheat day and 4 other days. So for 1 day per boy. If or there's 4 weeks, that would lead up after Thanksgiving before Christmas. And so usually I'll try and focus some energy on each individual boy. So I might let them pick a cookie that they want to bake. And sometime during the first week after Thanksgiving, the first boy gets to bake cookies, and then the second week, and then the third. But if you break it down into bite-sized pieces, then you can actually start to visualize how to make that pie in the sky dream that they all get to bake cookies, or that we actually ever got to baking a cookie, a reality, when you're starting to think intentionally about, okay, when will this get done though? If I just wait till that week before Christmas, we do school right up until the end, and now it's time to actually Christmas. Now mommy just has to make the cookies, or maybe we're going to buy the cookies this year, which is fine.
Yes.
But I agree that if you make space to fan those flames, then you can get some of those things done.
You can get some of it done. Yeah, I love that. And I am a procrastinator. Like, I'm not the list person, but I do find that I have all these awesome ideas in my head. And really, if I'll just take a couple of minutes and write it down and actually put it on my grocery list that I'm going to need sugar because I'm out, like if I want to make cookies, that helps too. So
then you're not running out. You have that time set aside, and now you spend it going to the grocery store.
Yes, right. Yeah. So I just think that's really important because we're talking, I think sometimes we can romanticize like the holidays and homeschooling and, oh, we're just free to do all these things. But if you don't do a little bit of planning, maybe it sounds like you are my go-to to learn how to plan. If you're like me, you're not so much of a planner, that it is important to understand that planning is important. Grocery lists are important so that you can do these wonderful things and engage your kids during the holiday season too.
But I also think I tend to be the over planner, but like you said, whether it's small children, but sometimes it's even like my husband. The husband came to me about a week ago and was like, oh, I have this chunk of time that I need to take off work because it's their use or lose days. So if he doesn't take them off, he will lose them during the time he's going to be deployed next year.
Yeah.
So he's now all of a sudden taking several weeks off before Christmas.
All right. So,
which is great to spend time together. But if I planned, we're going to do school right up to the last minute, that flexibility is something, again, prioritizing what's important. Or, okay, babe, can you help with this? And I'll do this, and we can knock school out first hour of the day, and then we can really enjoy the rest of the day as a family. So I think that it's easy to see the super planner those who love planning as, oh, well, you must have it all together. No, we have to also be flexible and realize we're working with real humans, human children, human spouses, real calendars, and not lose our ever loving mind when something doesn't go quite like we had maybe imagined.
That is awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Hey, I just want to say welcome to Sonia and Law from southeastern Wisconsin, and Mercedes is in watching us from Northern California. So welcome everybody. And I love that. So, all right, you mentioned baking cookies. What are some other like hands-on and project ideas that you like to try to, or maybe you've done in the past with your boys, or that you have in mind even for this year?
Well, I feel like one thing again with between being their teacher and a hyper planner, I have to be prepared for like relaxed standards. I feel like
Mm,
at Christmas, that's when, because my oldest is in fourth grade now, and getting them excited about school. So getting them excited to practice writing. Like, so they'll write like letters to their aunts and uncles. We don't really do Santa Claus, but they'll do letters to their aunts and uncles, or writing out wish lists of things that they might want for Christmas. And
mhm,
I can go and like gently correct their spelling, but not so much like red letter marking up things. And
mhm,
so that's kind
mhm,
of the, but that's one of those things that they can enjoy. If I let them start to make a list, or can you list out the things that you're really excited to to eat. Reading and writing are essentials, and things that are not my boys' very favorites. And so it's kind of fun when there's something Christmas related that they can be actually excited about writing.
practice the
Um,
skill, right, in a really
yeah,
practical way.
so it's a lot. Yeah, it comes a lot easier to them when we're
Mhm,
on actual homework assignments. And
mhm,
then one of their favorite activities that we do, they call it the hunt. I'm a very boy house over here, but we have one of those advent calendars that has drawers in it.
uh-huh,
And so each drawer has a hint, and every day I hide four candies, and they get to go on the hunt and
oh,
find these candies. But tailoring the clues to their reading level has been something that we've done. So
mm,
each year they get progressively harder. So the older kids are reading like almost a full paragraph and having to
okay,
divine
uh-huh,
where the treat is hidden. Whereas for the younger children, it might be like, stove.
uh-huh,
It's on the stove.
right,
And so the tailoring the reading level, and then also I've been incorporating just we split the Christmas story into 24 sections, and so they'll read like a little verse, and so that's neat as far as incorporating our family beliefs, traditions, reading, and helping them to kind of connect those dots as well. Um, and another thing, so we're very well, we're a multi-ethnic family to begin with, but just in general, we love geography. My kids are crazy about crafts, which is not my strong suit, and science, and then geography. So
okay,
we regularly do Taste of the World Tuesday. It's part of our regular homeschooling. We try food from around the world and watch YouTube videos about those countries. Um, but it's been neat throughout the holidays to look into different regions and the way that they celebrate Christmas.
okay,
Or when it comes to Thanksgiving, not everybody's Thanksgiving is I can never remember if it's the third or fourth. It's the third Thursday, right? That we're on the
I
third Thursday
yes, yes,
in November. But that's not different countries have Thanksgiving on different days, and like
mhm,
how their tradition started, and kind of what they're celebrating. So it's kind of neat to look into being able to have some both global understanding and some geography and understanding regional influences, that sort of thing. So that's something else that we enjoy.
I love that. So, like, what I'm hearing is, like, you're integrating everything, like, across the curriculum, really. You're tying
Mhm.
things in, and you're making it very practical for your, boys too. So tell me about the Advent box. Do you have, like, a clue for each boy in a daily box, or they each have their Advent
So
hunt?
I'm kind of a Christmas fanatic. So
Okay.
now admitting this to the world, I probably have a problem and need help. But I have one present we've wrapped 24 times, and then there's the Advent wreath where they get to blow out a candle. So that's station number 2. Station number 3 is putting a felt ornament on the felt Advent calendar thingy, and then the fourth person gets to read the clue for the hunt. So they
Oh,
rotate through. So only one
okay.
boy gets to read a clue a night, but the other boy gets to blow out a candle, and the other boy gets to put the ornament on, and the other boy gets to take a layer off of the 24 wrap present. So
I see. Okay.
they call it the traditions. It's a whole evening thing. But yeah, so
Wow.
there's
That's awesome.
they'll read a total, since there's 4 boys, of 6 clues throughout the
Okay.
season.
Oh, wow, that is really neat. I like that idea. That's cool. I'm looking, we've got some neat comments. It looks like Christy is saying that we switched to Christmas school the month of December. We spend time just enjoying the holiday, baking cookies, taking in community events, reading and watching all the great Christmas movies. Formal school takes a backseat. I love
I
that.
love that. I love that, and
Mhm.
I love. She mentioned great Christmas movies. That's such a wonderful traditions, but also teaching opportunities. Just like
Mm,
conversationally, as we talk about the differences. It's a Wonderful Life has been a longtime favorite of mine. But like
mhm.
even like focusing on like the differences in phones from then to now, and having my children point out differences as they're seeing
Right.
them, as well. So that's like social studies. That's kind of in
Yes.
history. That's kind of built in.
Yeah.
Not very formal school. I agree with you, Christy Lee, letting that kind of take a back seat, but taking those teaching opportunities as they kind of arise.
Yeah, teachable moments, or what I hear is just you're being intentional, and you have in your mind all the time, what can we be learning from this, plus enjoying it too.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to see what Mercedes is saying, that she has her older student, a ninth grader, volunteering for Thanksgiving, studying history of different Christmas traditions, cooking, hikes, foraging different winter plants we find, or photography. I love, those are great ideas. Thank you for
Those are
sharing.
phenomenal. I would love to. I'm not good at growing things. My husband is. And so, but just, I think it's a wonderful opportunity to learn the difference between like the summer and winter, uh,
Mm-hmm.
plants that grow, and being able to really appreciate the beauty and creation with the photography, and developing those skills and talking them through what makes a good. I mean, my oldest is 9, and he's just, and he and both the older two enjoy taking pictures, but kind of talking them through. My mom always told us we were only allowed to take pictures with people in them, when we were tiny, because we had pictures of like our left thumb, like, but then, even artistically, like, what makes a good, things that are in focus versus what's not in focus, and how to kind of make the lighting, taking all those things into
Mm-hmm.
consideration.
Mm-hmm. That's so good. I love that. All right. So, we've got somebody joining us, Jennifer from Puerto Rico. So
That's awesome.
welcome. That is awesome. Awesome. All right. This one, I had fun thinking about this. Any books that we talked about, movies, but books that the entire family can read together. Do
Yes.
you have some favorites, Erin?
I did jot down a couple. We love The Best Worst Christmas Pageant Ever.
Oh yeah, the
super,
best
super
Christmas
fun.
pageant ever.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah, they have like worst crossed out. Yeah, so The Best
yeah.
Christmas Pageant
I
Ever.
wrote that. Yeah, I wrote that one down too.
Yeah,
It's a good one.
and of course the classic A Christmas Carol is one of our favorites
Mm,
too. And then we also love audio dramas. Majesty Music has quite a few really good ones that we have listened to through the
mm.
years. And then there is, I am struggling to find it, but there's an Advent book that has like, it's a little heavier read alouds that we do before we blow out the candles, but I really enjoy. The older ones especially are kind of getting into it more year from year, as we kind of talk about the subjects that are brought up about slowing down from the hustle and bustle. And I like it, kind of harkens back a little bit. I think Mercedes was mentioning volunteering through the holidays and that sort of thing, and thinking about people who are worse off, in ways that even now we can, with even the younger children, thinking of ways that we can give back,
Mm.
whether it's donating clothes that still that they even if they're still that size and they enjoy them, but something that's nice, so that when people are going
Receiving
to
them.
going to get clothes, yeah, that they're not just getting
Mm-hmm.
hand-me-downs that are run down. So like, thinking through those sorts of things, and trying to encourage my children to kind of have that mindset, not just of wish lists and
Mm-hmm.
all things getting, but also being able to give back.
Giving, thinking about other people. Yeah. I was thinking today, along those lines, the book The Family Under the Bridge. I don't know if you've read that in the past, but that's a good one too, to just talk about how we can give to one another. And it does have a little bit of a Christmas theme to it. Another book that I read with my girls, they were pretty young. So it's heavy topic, but it's written really well. And we were using Sunlight curriculum at the
Okay.
time. So it was the book 20 and 10 by Claire, I guess you pronounce her name, Huche Bishop. But it's set in France during World War II. And it's
Okay.
about these, it was during Nazi occupation of France. And these 20 French children that were kind of in an orphanage, and they took in 10 Jewish children. And it's just a really neat storyline.
And once again, what was it called? So I'm
It's
making a
called
note for myself.
20 and 10. 20 and 10.
Awesome.
And the author's last name is Bishop. But that's a really good one too. And we love Narnia. It's not really Christmas, but
Mhm. Well, and I love the Nutcracker, and it's been fun as for some reason it was like early November, and one of my kids was humming. I don't do singing and humming well, but the major march from the Nutcracker, and we were like, that's from the Nutcracker, and they're like, yeah, you made us watch that last year. It was fun.
Oh,
It
neat.
was funny how he had both like the forced us to watch it, and also it was fun memory from that. But it's neat as they kind of start to make those connections with just some old classics. We also enjoy one of the ones that I've read that has kind of a side Christmas theme, I guess, is Treasures of the Snow.
I don't know that one.
That's a Patricia St. John book, I think, and
Mm.
that's one that I really enjoyed as a kid, but have also enjoyed reading to my children. And it's not set fully in Christmas time, but there's some Christmas themes as well.
Very good. I love it. If any of you watching, if you've got some great read alouds, that's my favorite. One of my favorite parts of homeschooling is having that read aloud time with my kids. That's my favorite, all-time favorite. I just love reading. And then we have that shared kind of I don't know what you'd say, history, sort of, an experience together, and we refer to it still even years later. Those stories. So yeah, if you've got any great Christmas books or read alouds, let us know in the chat. That would be great. Okay, what about some fun games to play? Do you guys do, like, when you get everybody together, do you guys do games ever, or just
We
with your
do.
friends?
We love all kinds of games. My older ones have actually started being able to participate when we play code names. That is fun for the whole family. There's also
Okay.
there's code names and code name. Have you heard of code names?
I haven't.
Yeah, so code names and code names pictures. They're both of them. The word one, if you have all readers, but if you have a mix, the pictures one works as well.
Okay.
And basically there are 25 either unique pictures that are really hard to like. They have to have like blended pictures as opposed to like just like a picture of a phone. It'll be a phone that also looks like a book that looks like something else. So they can tie into each other. But
Okay.
your goal is to give a hint to your team that will help them connect various either words or various pictures that are there together. And you'll have certain ones you're trying to get your team to guess, and the other team will be guessing a different set. So that's a game that my family really enjoys. We also play Fishbowl, which that one, it's very complex, but if you Google it, that's a good one.
Google Fishbowl.
Fishbowl. Yeah,
Okay.
it's like one of the living room games. We really enjoy that one. We also really enjoy so my oldest is 9 and the youngest is 5. And so we also enjoy cooperative games, especially we'll play competitive games and I'll learn our sportsmanlike conduct and whatnot as well. But the cooperative games can kind of be fun to almost end the evening on. So everybody gets a chance to work together. And our favorites, there are several from the Peaceable Kingdom is the name of the company that puts them out. And so there are quite a few. There's one called, there's the treasure hunt. And so there are ogres that are trying to get to the treasure before you. And as a team, you're trying to pave the path to the treasure. But if you pull a path, if you pull a path token, you get to build the path. But while you're reaching for your path tokens, you could pull an ogre, which makes the ogre move closer and closer to the treasure.
Gotcha.
So you're working together to collect the keys and get to the treasure box before the ogre does. And so we enjoy pretty much any of the games from the Peaceable Kingdom. And then we also enjoy putting together puzzles. And it's been neat as the older ones have been getting better at being able to participate in that. And I enjoy that because, again, with the read alouds, sometimes it's something fun to do kind of in tandem. Yeah. So like while I'm reading, my boys can be very fidgety. So I enjoyed. But now that I think about it, my mom taught us to knit, so I was also fidgety. We're just fidgety people. But so it's nice to have something to do with their hands while
yes.
So
I love that. Christy says there's a game called To Bethlehem. So
I'm going to take another note.
That looks good. We do. I don't even know if I can describe this game, but this would be like a when you have all the family together, cousins, uncles, aunts, and it's a game where everyone writes down. Oh my goodness, I'm going to get into this and not be able to explain it. But you basically write down a phrase, and I think you get a subject or something like that. And so you write down a phrase, and then based on the phrase, the family has to guess who wrote that phrase. Like,
Oh, fun.
if it might be TV shows and I wrote the Lucy show, or my 8-year-old wrote the Lucy show, most
Right.
family members aren't going to expect her to do that. And so it's just
Right.
really funny because you have to kind of guess who's written what. It's not a formal game. It's very much
Yeah.
you can use scrap
Well,
paper.
and
But
it's nice because it sounds there's a similar game. Balderdash is
okay.
one that's
Yeah,
a
it could be
formal
similar
game.
to that. Yes.
Yeah, but I like that one because you can play it even if you didn't bring Balderdash.
Right.
So that's
Exactly.
one of the hard things is once we're all together. If we discovered a new game and it's back at my home 2 hours away, and we're down here with the aunts and uncles and cousins and whatnot, then it's gonna be a little. I love to have those ones that you can just kind of pick up. And Fishbowl is one again. Google, but
Google it.
that's one of the
Okay.
ones that you can play, just kind of picking up. I also there were two others that came to mind. One is called Name That Kitty. My kids
Mm,
absolutely love this. It's basically what do you meme or apples to apples, that sort of thing.
yeah.
Where there's a picture of a cat. No, there's a name. So they'll flip over a name like Whiskers, and then you have like 5 pictures of cats, and you get to pick which one you think looks like a Whiskers and
Okay.
put him into the middle, and then the picker gets to decide which cat they would actually name Whiskers, and that person's
Okay.
gonna get a point.
Oh, that's a lot of
Um, and then there's a learning one that my children absolutely love. There's 2. There's one called Dog Crimes, and then there's the same concept but cat crimes, and it's a logic game. So you read it and they'll be like, well, Mr. Whiskers was sitting next to the fishbowl, and Dusty was sitting next to the ball or whatever, and there's a little setup, and you're trying to figure out who's next to the cake that was eaten or something. So,
Okay. Yeah.
and as you're reading by power of deduction, and they're all working together. Again, we're cooperative. So that's really fun because they can all work together to find the solution and take turns being either the person who reads the clues and practices their reading,
Mhm.
or the person who gets to be which cat and actually place them on the board when that prompt is read, so we can figure out who solve the mystery, who got into
I
mischief.
I love that. I love that you brought that up, Erin, because as an early childhood educator, that's my background. I'm just constantly kind of preaching that children, especially young children, learn through play. And I know when we first started, and I'm currently living in Arkansas, and
Okay.
we moved here to help out my mother-in-law. So we're homeschooling with my mother-in-law, who's not. We used to live very far away from her, so she wasn't accustomed to seeing homeschooling. She didn't know what that was, and so I would hear her on the phone saying, "Well, Chris is homeschooling, but it looks like they're having recess," because she didn't
Yeah.
she didn't get what we were doing,
Uh-huh.
um but children learn through play, and there's so much even through games
Mhm.
that we're vocabulary, taking turns, logic, making deductions, just one-to-one correspondence, so many things and skills that kids are learning. It's sort of like sneaking in vegetables in a smoothie, like
Yes.
they don't know it, but they're learning.
Yes.
And so it's great to take advantage of those things too. So
Speaking of
go ahead.
that, I really love as well. I keep a stash of more, I guess they're less disguised learning games as well, like a stack of like math learning games or phonics learning games, and those ones might be like the little puzzles where you have like a C on one side and the other side has a picture of a cat and the letter AT. So when you connect
Yeah.
those two, so those sorts of things, and kind of keeping them for a special time, so they don't get to do those during regular school. And now all of a sudden, I might say, you know what, today mommy has a webinar right now. They're doing Animal Planet, but
Mhm.
I might pull those out and be like, you can work on some of these puzzles, and they'll be so excited. And the older ones, even who already understand the concepts, who can use the review, because when they go to actually write the word, sometimes it just doesn't
Right.
happen. So
That's hard.
it's
That's
nice
a
to have
harder
that
skill.
review, and it's super low key and fun. And it's neat to kind of keep those things as treats
Yes.
for times when we need to be a little bit more intentional. We need to be learning a little bit, but also not necessarily hitting the books quite as hard.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I utilized that a lot when my kids were younger too. I truly did, and it was like Christmas. We're
Yes.
talking about home for the holidays, so yeah, it's kind of like,
Yes.
ta-da! Here's something you haven't seen in a long time, and they really enjoy it. And I will tell you, a plug, like the best. I don't know where you get those kind of learning games, but Lakeshore Learning is.
Mhm.
I think there are some physical stores, but catalog company that they have so many great ideas for things like that. I love
Yes.
that company. Let's see. What about as we're moving through the holidays? And thank you all too for your comments. It looks like Jennifer has commented. They love the book. There was a cold lady who swallowed some snow by
Oh,
Lucille Colt.
that sounds like something my boys would enjoy. They're
I
also all
bet.
about humor. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love taking books like that too, and just following a theme and then having us all make a book, kind of along those same lines. What else could she swallow? That would be really funny, we could make up
Or
our own
having snow
story.
cones because we're in Texas, so it's not too cold.
That's right.
Swallow some snow ourselves. But
That's right. That's right. I love it. But as we go through the holiday season and then move into those cold, sometimes maybe not cold if you're in Arkansas or Texas, but wet,
yes.
usually and dreary days of
Mhm.
January, February, what are some things that we can do to kind of transition then out of the excitement, maybe the unusual routine? What are some tips you have there for moving into
Well, quickly, I
January?
want to double back. There was one more I had made a note of for Christmas activities. The
Yes.
reading aloud. I love to read aloud. My boys are getting on the bandwagon, but a little slower than was my preference. So one thing we love to do during Christmas is I've slowly been acquiring throughout the year, not even just waiting until Christmas. And thankfully, I mean, there's 12 months in a year, so you can go like buy 2 books a month even, and by
Hmm.
December you'll have 24 books. And so again, they have whether I wrap them or put them in reuse, because we reuse gift bags, I'll
Uh,
have them under the tree and they can select a different bag every night. So we're reading our way through, and it's exciting because we just opened it out of a present. It doesn't matter that we read it last year. They're excited to pull it out of the bag and you're like, wow,
that's
it's
such
a
a
present.
neat
Yeah.
idea.
So just adding some Christmas sparkle to something that's just normal and ordinary can also, and they don't all have to be Christmas books, especially that first year. If you're still acquiring, you can just throw in some regular books and it's reading time. Open the bag and we're reading it now. So that's,
I'm
that's
just
something we
about
enjoy.
to cry, Erin. I love that
Oh,
idea so much. I think I'm
yeah,
gonna do that. Yeah, I mean, my
yeah,
oldest is 15, but we still have picture books that we've
yeah,
been reading since they were little at Christmas, and so I just might do that this year,
yeah.
put them
It's
in
so
gift
fun.
bags.
It's
I
so
love
fun.
that
Yeah, and then
idea.
they don't know what's happening till it's time. I'll go, oh, that one, and you just can add a little extra sparkle. But
Whew,
so
getting very
transitioning.
sentimental here.
Aw. I feel like after pregnancy, those hormones just never quite completely settle for me. I'm like, I'm always quick to cry too. Um, Heading back from the holidays, for us, I love an adventure, so I tend to figure out how many round about the time we break for Christmas. Before I fully break, I will do an inventory of how much work we have till the end of the year.
Mm,
So whichever book has the most lessons, that's the book we're going off of. So along the way, we'll be probably dropping subjects because we might be a little further ahead in phonics, a little further ahead in math, a little further ahead in science. So
mhm.
it doesn't matter if you finish a book early, whichever book you want to finish by the end of the year has the most lessons.
That's what you're
Then
gonna.
I divide that by a date that we would like to end up at.
Mhm.
Usually when I'm doing my planning, we do school 5 days a week, but we plan school 4 days a week. So if
Okay.
a day falls out, so basically I'd count up 4 days a week for the rest of the school year and divide the lessons up, figure out how much we have to get done. So now that we have that strategy down, I also have a number. I know how many school days have to take place. And I will sit and cut strips of construction paper and link them into a chain. And they can take off a chain. If we finish school that day, we take off a chain. And every day we don't do school, that's fine, but the chain stays the same length. And so they have
Oh,
that visual aid that says, we're getting to the end if we can just get one link off this chain, and it will take a picture and watch it tangibly get smaller. And so, especially for the younger eyes, I feel like it's helpful to kind of watch it transpire. Inevitably, even with all of our planning, we end up with some present usually that was not gifted. And whether it's something that I forgot was in the back of the closet, and now that I'm like, oh, well, here's this, or we'll just even sometimes go out and acquire something new and small. But again, with the wrapping things multiple times, sometimes I will, whether it's wrapped once and it's the treasure at the end of the chain, or if it's wrapped several times. So like at the end of a successful week, you can take off a layer. They will work their way toward a prize. We're also technically, I consider ourselves year-round schoolers. So we will aim for a finish date actually in March, because we like to take advantage of the weather before it gets so stinking hot here in Texas. So we finish up school in March, but we don't stop. We switch to summer Brain Quest books so that they can continue to build the skills that they learned through that last year. But the OCD in me doesn't need that book to get completed. And so they have something to work on, but if we miss a day and we don't get it done by the start of the next school year, then that just becomes theirs, and they can do it during quiet time whenever they want to. They can finish up that book. So those will also be wrapped in the box with the whatever toy. So they get a toy and their new shiny pretty workbook that they get to and they love those. And
as you're transitioning. Okay.
As we're transitioning. So that's another thing, just having a goal to look forward to, because I feel like even personally coming off of the holidays, it can just be like, what do I have to look forward to? The fact that I want to get back on the treadmill. That's just not super, that's not a lot to look forward to. And so as January, our next birthday is not till April. It's like 4 months out. So it can be very anticlimactic, and the weather's gloomy and everybody's dreary. So just trying to find a sparkle and trying to stretch out the sparkle as long as I can, whether it's the chain so that we're sparkly. And along the way, again, whether there's a certain color chain link that you want to use for the prize one, or put a sticker every 3 or 4 chain links. And then once they get there, that could be a prize, whether you take them out for French fries, or we have a big, I'm everything in moderation. We got this big tub of candy. So you can pick a candy out of the candy bin. Like there can be any little treat to look forward to, but that gives them just that extra motivation to want to make the chain get shorter, but also to see if this link happens to be one of the days that has
the special.
Yeah. And then trickle it down to like, okay, so there's maybe not candy every day of our lives, like there was all throughout December.
Yeah. That's a neat idea. I like that. And it's so important. Kids, especially younger kids, concept of time is hard. And so, and even some older kids, and we talk to lots of moms and dads that are homeschooling kids that have ADHD or poor executive functioning, and it's just really difficult to track time. So I like that idea of it being really visual. And, and also if you're trying to motivate a child, sometimes, a really, really long chain is not going to be too motivating. It could be depressing or like, I'll never get that done. So it's nice that you have the little special motivators, along the way too. Yeah, that's great. That's a neat idea.
And it's also neat because some days we get school done super fast. I don't know what happens on those days, sometimes comparative to those days that just seem to go on for a million years. But if we get stuff done so much faster, then sometimes they are motivated to say, what if we knocked out another chain link?
Yeah.
And then they like to even they'll be like, we're going to surprise Dad. He's not going to know what hit him. And of course, I text him in advance so he knows to be as excited. I understand when they say they did an extra chain link, they did a whole extra day in school or whatever. And so they get creative with it on their own. So that's fun.
That's great. One thing I was thinking about, especially like for those viewers that have older students too. I know one of the gals was talking about December being kind of Christmas schooling, but you might even think about January, a way to transition in, kind of making that a special month where, hey, this is the month that we're going to do a couple of classes on OutSchool. We're going to do photography class, or we're going to really, we're going to be involved in this play, through our co-op, or you can just kind of make make that kind of a transitional month and something fun to do. I know I wasn't homeschooled when I was growing up. I went to a Christian school, but my last couple of years of high school, we had like a J term, I think they called it. So for 3 or 4 weeks, we had 2 or 3 classes instead of our normal ones. So that was an idea that kind of came to mind as I was thinking about this. And then sometimes kids are just ready for structure again in January. It's just
coming
kind of
off
nice.
the crazy and usually that's when their super board kicks in and you think to yourselves like you just got brand new stuff. Like you need the structure. You need the structure so that you have just enough free time to really enjoy all of the cool things that you have.
Right.
And I think that it's also neat because, you know, again, here in Texas, we do get some of the like weather, rainy and icky and just dreary weather. But with the motivations as well, starting to look into what museums and whatnot are here. So we might start with museums. And then once we finish, we'll just transition to like whole days at the zoo and whatnot, once we've kind of wrapped up the bulk of our work and the weather is nicer. But when we plan only to need 4 days of school a week, you might get 5 good days. But if people are having a really rough week, it's really nice to be able to say, you know what, let's go to a museum. Let's go to a science museum, that sort of thing. And so a lot of field trip sorts of things. And if you can figure out for your area which days are less popular or which times are less popular, you can still kind of go where it's not super crowded. With school groups or just a general populace at the museum. And so it can be really nice to kind of plan ahead, look and see what's in your area so you can make the most of making, you know, Fridays are fun days. And so we either we hunker down and get another chain link done, or we're going to take the day and just go do something fun and educational. And that can also be something for them to look forward to. Kind of like what you're suggesting with the kind of cutting back on what's required, but also taking that time and not completely. Sometimes we can rest and that's completely necessary, but then also to be able to make the most of the time that we're taking off. And explore some of their interests, because my boys are, again, really big into science and they want to do science projects, science like experiments and explosions and boyland stuff. And so it's really nice to kind of to set that space aside and be like, yeah, let's go ahead. We're gonna make something explode in the backyard today. That's what we have to look forward to.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, there are so many great like unit studies that are available. I know like The Good and the Beautiful has some great science, what I would call units that aren't for the whole year. They're just, you know, for maybe 6 to 8 weeks, something like that. And I love Cindy West. I can't remember the name of her website, but she has a lot of great of unit studies too that would really help if you so you don't have to invent the wheel. I know mamas sometimes we're scouring the internet trying to find these things. It's nice to know that they're already out there.
I took down her name too, because if anything and everything science, the Eskews could use more of. We have a curriculum and stuff too, but they
I understand.
the master book stuff, but
give me more, mama. Give me more. I love that. Well, Erin, thank you so much for joining us. You've really sparked my imagination and given me some great ideas. I'm not going to forget about that gift bag. My girls might hear me; they're in the background. So, but I love that idea and your chain link for the finishing out the year. That is a great idea. Just so many things, and just also, I love as we're talking about planning and having a creative time during the holidays. Just that emphasis of planning for those things. That's so important, and I think that might help some of our viewers to actually make it happen this year. So I love that you brought that.
I look forward to hopefully people share some of the things they do, like on the Facebook.
Yeah,
page.
we'd love to. Really awesome. We would love to read that too. So, I'm going to ask you all to please, just again, if you have other questions or if you've got some other ideas that you want to share, those comments are still open. So please add those. But we just want to thank you so much for joining us. I hope this was helpful. And I hope that all of you have a really blessed Thanksgiving. It looks like Christy's asking for the link to your blog. I know
mine or the HSLDA one.
Well, she says yours, but I'm sure that we can link to probably both, if that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. Awesome.
Yeah.
So
And Erin is, again, for those of you that might have missed it, they're a military family. And so we're really trying to be supportive. And thank you so much, Erin, for your service and your husband's service to the military. We appreciate you so much. And again, everybody just have a blessed Thanksgiving. Thanks for joining us today.
So sorry, I was
That's okay.
typing to find get the address, but yes, it's been really great to chat with you as well. And thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Hey, if you are not a member of HSLDA, if you're homeschooling, we want to invite you to become a member. You can learn more about what we do as an organization at hslda.org. And also, we have lots of webinars. You can go to our website there, and there, we actually have a great webinar too with even more ideas for homeschooling through the holiday seasons. But thank you again for joining us, and happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Bye.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.